You have reached the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast voicemail. If you want to leave some feedback about Toyotas, have questions about Toyotas, maybe poke some fun at Toyotas, or let us know how your JL came with a Starbucks membership, then leave it all on the line and we'll get to it on the podcast. Keep crawling.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Snail Mail.
At least that's what I think we're going to call it.
For now.
For now?
Yeah. So this is the first episode of a new segment of the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast where we're going to start doing kind of a separate show altogether, a separate episode each week with listener feedback.
Yeah, a listener feedback dedicated episode. We have so much feedback coming in with things that you like what we're doing, things that you don't like what we're doing, with corrections or comments. That we're
Debates on Detroit lockers.
Yeah, especially those. Yeah, we're going to start an episode in regards to all your guys' feedback, which is fantastic. And we love getting it. And we're so happy that we are getting it that we want to highlight it and start a whole nother episode.
That we're going to make ourselves have more work.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes, more work. We're hoping, well, at least I'm hoping, to be able to keep these short, simple, precise, and we'll get through them as quickly as we can.
Yep. So I guess first thing is we need feedback from you guys.
Yeah.
Imagine that. The feedback show asking for feedback. So we kind of like the name Snail Mail.
Yeah, it kind of is in line with everything we have going on.
Yeah, and it kind of has a fun little pun there, right? It's a little punny. But if you guys can think of a better name for this segment, we would definitely consider it. So call in. I think for now, we'll label it Snail Mail listener feedback or something on the episodes. It won't be part of our normal episode numbering because this isn't going to be like a typically not an episode people might reference back to try and find information about, you know, the Rubicon Trail history or how to build a Toyota 8-inch third member or something like that.
Why Toyotas are better than Jeeps.
Why Toyotas are better than dumpsters. So yeah, it's more of just going to be kind of a feedback based on the normal episodes. So I don't think we're going to number them, but we still, I think, need to have a unique name for each one for the feeds and how when they show up in people's podcast platforms.
Yeah, we just can't call it feedback every single week.
Yeah, right. So but we want to have kind of a fun title to it. So right now we're leaning towards Snail Mail. I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But if you guys can come up with something more clever, let us know.
Definitely. Probably the best way to get in contact with us these days is by phoning in. That area code is 916-345-4744.
Sweet.
All that information will be down in the show notes as well. So you don't have to stop driving right now.
Nope.
You can find it later. It'll be down there. And I think the show is going to be primarily voicemails. Maybe once in a while we'll reference some Instagram content or emails that we get, but we love hearing you guys call in. Love hearing your guys' voices. At least being able to connect a voice to a name is always fun. But when we can connect the voice to a name to a face, like out at events, that's even better.
Yep. And that happened last week out at Hammers. He was a listener and he's reached out on Instagram a couple times.
Yeah.
And then he called in.
Okay.
Left a voicemail. So I got to hear his voice. And then I met him out at Hammers and he introduced himself, how he introduces himself in the voicemails.
Oh.
I was like, oh, that's cool. That's super cool. So I put a name to the face and it was
rad.
A Lance, not the company.
Was that at Hammers? That was, I think that was at the Tacoma Powered meetup.
Was it at Tacoma Power? I thought I saw him at Hammers.
It might have been Hammers, but he introduced himself to me at the Tacoma Powered meetup.
Right. Maybe that's
and
where
he
it
did
was.
The same thing. Hey, I'm Lance, not the camper.
Okay. That probably was Tacoma Powered then.
Yeah. And I think we might listen to his episode today.
I think so. I think we have a voicemail from him that we're going to be listening to. We've already played it once as we were trying to figure out what voicemail we wanted to cover before we went to Hammers because we had too many. And so we have a lot. I think we're only going to do like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
That we'll have more for future episodes. So we'll kind of slowly get caught up unless we start getting 4 or 5 a week. Then we'll have to up how many we're doing per episode here on this little fun segment. But yeah, I think the goal is do 2 to 3. So these episodes should only be half an hour long.
Hopefully less.
20 minutes, 15, 20, I don't know, somewhere around there.
Depends on how many questions you ask in your voicemails.
Yeah, seriously. So
Or how fast I can get Tyler to shut up. One of those two.
Not very fast.
Never been successful. All right. Well, let's start it up. But yeah, just a reminder, we are looking for feedback. Do you like this? Do you like what the idea behind this? What name should we put on this? All the above. We're calling.
Cool.
And let us know.
I like it. Looking forward to hearing from everybody and figuring out some fun, clever stuff. All right. So let's go. First caller. It's our buddy Zack from Oklahoma.
Perfect. Hey, Zack.
All right. Let's see what Zack has to say.
Good morning. This is Zack from Oklahoma. So, last week we had some snow. It was fun to play in. Today it froze overnight. And a problem that I've noticed is even though my vehicle gets up to temperature, no heat comes through at that point unless I'm moving. The lower motor's fine. I don't know. So I got to sit here and wait for the defrosting fluid in my wiper blade reservoir to melt it enough for me to like chip away at it. I don't know. If y'all know what's going on, I had a saga all last year about coolant. I actually figured out from Tyler that it was the fan clutch because he was having the same issues on his 4Runner. And it actually helped out a lot, so thanks for that. But another issue that has popped up. I've kind of known about this because I only had to experience it once before it got really cold in Oklahoma. I was in Colorado and camped at like 10,000 feet and it was freezing overnight. Wasn't even prepared, but my gear was, so I was fine. Anyways, if y'all know of a solution to fix this issue, let me know. Y'all have a good day. Keep crawling.
This is going to be interesting.
Okay.
I'm not sure how deep we want to go into this one, but I think in order to start troubleshooting heat in a cab issues, you need to understand how the heating system works.
Right.
And so on most vehicles, I don't think it's the same for electric vehicles.
No,
but
it can't be.
As I say, it can't be because they don't run coolant. So
Correct.
on an internal combustion vehicle, typically the way your heating system works in the cab for your air conditioner and heat controls is the coolant from your engine goes through your engine block and it gets heated up to roughly 200 degrees. Some are higher, some are lower. So let's say 200 for ease of understanding.
Okay. Sounds fair.
Then that coolant comes out of your engine block, goes through your firewall and into what's called a heater core.
Is that the same as like a heat exchanger?
Not necessarily. No,
Okay.
No, it's a heater core, which is essentially a smaller radiator.
Yeah.
So it's built just like a radiator where it has cores zigzagging through or flowing through the main structure of this little radiator. And it has fins that allows air to flow through.
Right.
And so as air, and then the coolant from there, after it goes through your heater core, goes back out your firewall and over back into your block.
Correct.
Your engine block, and then finishes its way through the engine block, through your thermostat, and back into your radiator to get cooled off.
Yes.
And then start the journey over again. A heater core with the hot coolant, the 200 degree coolant going through it, heats up the metal, the aluminum of the heater core or the steel, whatever it's using in older cars. And that metal heats up, and then a blower on the interior of your cab, usually under your dashboard, is creating airflow to pass through that heater core, which then heats up the air.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you have a system of flaps in an air direction control unit that will then take the air and send it either out through kind of underneath the dash towards your feet, or up through the top of the dash at your windshield as your defroster, or out the vents in the dash towards your face. Right. And basic, right? There's cars with other vent locations as well.
Yeah.
And then from there, so you have your direction control, and then you have a blender first, and your blender blends the cold air and the hot air stream. So the hot air comes in through your heater core, cold air comes in through another inlet place.
Right. And that's where you make margaritas.
And that's where you make margaritas at. is in the blender. And then from there it goes to your direction control door, which sends it out to the different locations, different vents. And then from there, your vents can direct it, shut off, or control the airflow through each individual vent, as well as where it goes once it's in the cab. So either you want it at your face, your chest, your balls, whatever it is, right?
Absolutely.
So did I do a good job at explaining?
Yeah. I mean, that's the gist of it.
Okay.
I think the point that you're trying to make right now is that the way that you get heat in the cab is through the radiator in the cab, and the coolant heats up that radiator inside the cab.
Yeah. So I know that with a lot of older vehicles, there's a number of issues that could be going on. One is air is not getting through your heater core to heat up.
Yes. That could be one.
So that could be one.
So the fans on the side, on the back side or front side, depending on pushing or pulling, isn't working.
The fan is not working, or the heater core has debris in it, clogged up.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's two different reasons why you could not be getting hot air.
Yes.
If you're getting no air coming through, then fan could be a big issue, as well as your vents could be all broken. I know that in a lot of older vehicles, like especially my 4Runner, a lot of the vent tubing, the ducting in the dash has either fallen apart, or the weather stripping that kind of holds it together to make it airtight has died. And so you have a lot of gaps in the ducting, which lets air out under the dash.
Correct. Yeah.
So air doesn't get to the windshield.
Yeah. It's flying out everywhere else.
Yep. And so there's that could be an issue. Your ducting is bad. If you're getting cold air out of the locations that you have it, you're telling the system to send it out of, then that usually means you're just not getting airflow through the heater core. Or
this is the one that I think is most likely.
The most likely one?
Yeah.
Typically for most vehicles, when you turn on the heat, it opens up the flow of coolant to come into your heater core in the first place. And so
that's why it takes a while for heater cores to warm up.
Yes.
Right? Because your car has to warm up, but then it has to also warm up the radiator, the heater core inside the cab. And that's why it takes a little bit longer to heat that part up.
So what I did on my 4Runner is I did it kind of unintentionally when we did the 3-4 swap, but it didn't have a cable to open up the flow of coolant on the firewall. Oh, there's a valve there.
Yeah.
And when you move the hot
from cold
to heat, it opens up that coolant flow and allows more coolant or less coolant to come through, right?
Got it.
I have mine just left open all the time.
Okay.
So that means that I always have coolant flowing through the heater core.
Right.
Which is nice because when I need heat, it's instant. As soon as I turn it on, I got heat coming through as long as the engine's warmed up. I don't have to wait for the heater core to warm up. But the downside is that the air conditioning isn't quite as cold as it could be.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I still have some residual warm air coming through the heater core and getting into the ducting.
Right.
That's kind of your system. So if you don't have hot air coming out, check that switch, make sure that valve is open. Just follow your heater, your coolant lines off the back of the engine block and into your firewall. And there should be a valve there somewhere in an older vehicle. Not sure exactly how newer vehicles do it, if they have it there on the firewall, or if it's down embedded in the control system, the cabin system. But on older vehicles, it should be there on the firewall. Make sure that valve is open. And then make sure that you're getting air coming out. So your blower motor, your blower fan is running. And if those two things are checking out and you're still not getting heat, that means your heater core is clogged somehow.
Yeah. Another option is if you're ever so slightly low on coolant in your main radiator, it will first show by you not having heat in your cab.
Oh, interesting, because it can't flow through the radiator.
That's what I'm assuming. But I know if your radiator is low, then you don't have heat inside the cab. I don't like. It must be that the coolant is not circulating at all. Maybe it's so cold outside that you don't even need. You don't like your engine's not ever opening the thermostat.
Yeah.
And you're low on coolant, but you don't know because your thermostat's not opening.
True.
And it's so cold outside. So check the radiator.
I think unless you're like in -100 degrees, I can't imagine that an internal combustion engine would not get up to temperature.
Maybe. Yeah.
But very possible if you get air bubbles in your coolant system,
that too.
because typically the coolant lines coming out of your engine block have to go up and into your firewall. They don't typically come down out of your firewall, because then that runs in your transmission.
True. Yeah.
So if you can have them, most times your coolant lines will come up. That's one of the main reasons why you need to lift the front end of your vehicle when you burp your coolant system, so that air can come back out of your heater core and back into the engine block and come out the radiator.
Right.
Your air bubbles.
So can you just like smack the back of a vehicle to burp it?
Totally. That's what I do with mine.
I believe
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would say
neighbors will give me weird looks.
Beware that tailpipe.
Yeah.
So number one for me is I would look at your radiator and see if you're at a proper level of fluid inside the radiator. Two, I would highly consider trying to bleed or burp the radiator system or the coolant system, so that you can make sure that you don't have any bubbles anywhere, right? Park on a hill and get the radiator as high as you can and run it till it opens up and you can see fluid moving in there, and make sure that there's no bubbles coming out.
And a good trick too is once you're at that stage of it, the thermostat's open, you can see flow coming through, and you just burp the throttle up to 2,000, 3,000 RPMs for 1 to 2 seconds.
Okay.
And that helps to force air bubbles through the system and get into the radiator.
Smart. Yeah, definitely. Then I would start to, after I do those two things and I don't get heat, then I would start investigating inside the cab, make sure that you're getting flow through the heater core, make sure the valve's working, make sure the blowers are working. Make sure you don't have any leaks underneath the dash. My guess is you're low on fluid. You're low on coolant. That's my guess.
Low on coolant. Okay. Interesting. I think his valve is closed.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, this is like click and clack right now. This is pretty rad. So Zach, do some investigating, do some work, figure out see if you can figure out the problem, or call back and tell us what solved it, or tell us new symptoms, and we'll continue to diagnose it.
Right.
Whether we're right or wrong, we'll let you know.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Next caller.
All right.
I don't see we can play this one anyways. I think it's irrelevant information now, but
yes, we went up Fissure.
Yes, we did. And we met at gate 1.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hello, gentlemen. How are y'all doing today? My name is Brad. First-time caller, long-time listener. I got a question in regards to your KOH nighttime run up to Fissure Mountain. Sold my 4Runner. Taking my wife's two-wheel drive Tacoma. It's on 33s, got a little lift, tires and wheels and whatnot. My stock bumpers, two-wheel drive, open dip. Do you think I can make it to Fissure Mountain in that truck? Yeah, curious what you guys have to say. Enjoy the call. Oh, what night are you guys doing the run? Hope to see you guys there. Yeah, good weekend.
And we'll play the next one too, because I think he answers a couple of his own questions.
Okay, ready.
There we go.
Hey, this is Brad again, calling back. I've listened further on into other podcasts and learned Wednesday, 7 o'clock. Awesome. Oh, in regard to the KOH trail run. But yeah, two-wheel drive Tacoma. Think it's going to make it? Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. Bye.
All right. So 7 p.m. Wednesday night, gate 1. I think we kept saying main gate.
I think we're saying the main gate at Hammertown.
Yeah. Gate 2 looks like it could be a main gate, because that's where all the big parking lot is.
Okay.
To get in over at gate 2. But gate 1 is the first gate you come to at the massive T intersection that looks like a scene from India. An Indian
I got
highway
a really
traffic
cool time lapse of that.
Yeah, you did. And a monster truck going by.
That one too. That's a cool video. I do need to post.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, we're a little past the point now. Sorry, we didn't check this one out a little earlier. But yeah, so we did meet at gate 1, which we considered the main gate, which is the first one you show up to. We did meet at 7 on Wednesday. I didn't have a vehicle. I was standing there with 2 other dudes waiting for people to show up. Nobody showed up. Tyler pulled up in the 4Runner and everybody showed up.
Yeah.
And then, we had a decent sized group. You'll hear more about all that on Monday's episode. But actually, Brad, I'm happy you didn't show up, because a 2-wheel drive Tacoma would not make it.
Correct. Yeah, it would not make it up
That
Fissure.
trail was gnarlier than I expected it to be.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. You've made it sound like, oh, there's an obstacle here and there, and then it's not that bad. And I was like, dang, this is not super easy.
Yeah.
It's not difficult. There's the obstacles are more kind of like off-camber corners.
Yeah.
Is what it is the main difficulty.
It's tight and windy.
It's tight and windy. That's
And
a good
steep.
way. Yep. So two-wheel drive definitely wouldn't have made it. With two-wheel drive with a locker definitely would not have made it.
No, you would have need to get pulled quite a few times.
I thought about it taking the Tacoma out there. I was thinking about taking the Tacoma down, and it would not have made it on 33s. You needed more ground clearance.
Yeah.
Next year, bring something a little bit beefier.
There we go.
All right.
But it was a really fun trip.
It was a fun trip. You missed out.
We'll talk about that on Monday's episode.
All right. One more.
Yeah, let's do one more, and then we can call it for the day, and we'll get back to our regular scheduled programming.
Sounds good.
All right. This one is from Kris, current president of the Posse, Gold Hills Posse.
Oh.
Let's see.
What up, Kris?
Let's see what Kris has to say here.
All right.
Hey, on the latest show, you guys mentioned most inconsiderate wheelers and brought up Gladiator owners. But I think it's funny you failed to mention that inevitably, camping on a quiet night at Barrett at 2 a.m., who comes rolling in, blaring music and bouncing off the rev limiter, but somebody running a 22RE? Funny. Doesn't sound much like a Gladiator owner.
I think he got hurt. Kris, for those that don't know, drives a Gladiator.
Yes, he does.
Fantastic individual.
Yeah,
was one of my prototypers for the Snail Armor Gladiator panel. Thank you for your help on that, Kris. And I would probably agree to that extent. Gladiators probably aren't the noise in the middle of the night.
I would agree.
But
I would also tend to agree that 22 REs on a trail are typically not going to be inconsiderate of other people on a trail. Usually they'll get out of the way if they realize they're going slow because they use all the crawl gears, or they're hitting the rev limiter going much faster than everybody else and passing people.
Maybe that too.
So
that's true.
I feel like for some reason, Gladiator owners, they get on a trail and they don't understand that everybody goes different speeds on a trail, and that's fine. Everybody enjoys the trails in different ways, different ways, shapes or forms. I think that, if you've been around wheeling quite a bit, that you understand that, hey, if someone gets on your ass because you're going too slow, you just pull over and let them by.
Yeah, I agree.
They want to go fast. You want to go slow. There's nothing wrong with it. Just, go slow and let them by. Let everybody else enjoy the trail the same way you want to enjoy the trail, or in the same way that
you're
you
that
want.
guy.
Unless you're that guy.
Yeah. If you're enjoying the trail and you're that guy and you want everybody else to enjoy the trail like you are.
No, that's not what I meant by like you are. The same way that you want to enjoy the trail a certain way, other people want to enjoy this trail a certain way. So just let everybody enjoy the trail the way that they want to.
Yeah. Leave us 22RE people alone.
Yeah. You hurt our feelings.
You don't own a 22RE.
No, I don't.
Used to.
I still identify as a 22RE sometimes. Sometimes.
Oh, okay. I thought you identified it as an SUV.
I will say, if I come into camp late at night, I'm not banging the rev limiter. Okay.
No, but he is bouncing his stereo.
I'm bouncing the siren too.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. I was going to lead in. I'm glad you took over, because I was going to say something like, not all 22R people are the same. And then I could only see him calling back and going, well, not all Gladiator people are the same. So I'm glad you took that.
No, Kris, it's fun. It's fun. I will credit him though. If somebody comes rolling into camp late at night and they're making a lot of noise, it's a Toyota 22RE.
or an XJ.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. I've had buggies come in tonight at Barrett before that are really freaking loud and obnoxious at 2 a.m.
Sure.
So
I think anybody showing up at 2 a.m. is not going to be a positive person.
That's a really good point.
Right? Yes. Whatever vehicle showed up at 2 a.m., that's not the person you want showing up.
Yes, I would agree. Oh, that's funny. Thanks for calling in, Kris. We love hearing from you, buddy. That's it. Let's call that good for today. We had 17 altogether. I think we did 4 there.
Yep.
So we still got 13 left to go through.
We got a while. So we're going to do a few more Fridays or a bunch more, depending on what you guys think. If you like these, let us know. If you don't, let us know. If you like the name Snail Armor, Let
Snail
us know.
mail?
Oh, snail. Yeah, or snail armor. Too many damn snails now.
Yeah, I know.
Snail mail, or you got another idea? Call us. 916-345-4744.
I like it. I like it a lot. And with that, Jimmy, any final words?
Oh, are we doing that on these now too?
No, we don't have to. I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.